G'day and welcome to the Farms Advice podcast with your host, Jack Creswell. Whether you farm it, service it, or just love it, this podcast is for you. We'll bring you the techniques and technologies you can implement into your day straight from the leaders and innovators themselves. Spread the Farms Advice so that we can reach more farmers right across Australia. Follow us on all of your socials at Farms Advice and let's get into this episode. Welcome back to the Farms Advice podcast, and you may have been out in the paddock, you're waiting for a bit of rain to get planting, sowing, whatever you may call it, but you've had a bit of spraying prep in need before getting your crop in. So we'll go through a run through on the CaseIH series with Sean McColley to see how we can get the most out of our machines and hear what's happening within CaseIH. Let's get into it. Before we start though, Sean, can you just tell us a little bit about your background and what you do for CaseIH?
My name's Sean McColley. I'm the AFS product manager for CaseIH, Australia and New Zealand. And that's looking after the AFS or advanced farming systems, helping dealers and customers get the best out of the product that they have. Also helping the Patriot product manager with the new 50 Series Patriot, because there's so much technology on this new machine. I jumped in and gave him a hand with the technology side, while the product manager's pretty much looking after the machine itself.
Unreal. So you got your hand in a few pies there at CaseIH. We, like our last episode with you, Sean, we were speaking about data and everything, how you can get the tractor to talk to you whilst out in the paddock. And I think that really resonated with the people that also are currently running it and those probably not running it out there, and just seeing what we can do a bit as farmers and how we can actually work with our machinery a little bit better and a little bit smarter with what we do and how AFS is connecting us. But for today's episode, we'll be talking everything spraying in quite a timely episode. I was out on the spray rig this morning, getting it done before the weather got a bit turmoil, a bit too hot and a bit too windy. Introduce us to the spraying side. What's out there within CaseIH team? What are people using currently? And maybe is there a bit of history behind it as well?
Yeah, for sure. So the Patriot was what it's well known for, has been CaseIH's main go-to sprayer for many years. It started its life as Tyler sprayers back in North America, and then was purchased by CaseIH, and then from now on, machines coming out of that plant are the CaseIH Patriot. So in its legacy, it's always been the cab forward, tank mounted in the middle and rear mounted engine, and it's kept that legacy even till today into the new 50 Series Patriot.
And the development of the Patriot, how far has it come from the first ones? You mentioned with Tyler sprayers coming in from the States. How far and how has technology sort of shifted the way that the Patriot works out in the paddock, what we're doing as farmers?
I think the biggest one was the AIM Flex nozzle. So that was the PWM nozzle body. We've had that solution available on these sprays for many years, and now even with the introduction of the 50 Series Patriot, we go now to the AIM Flex Command 2, which is a new NCV, just giving us a bit more better operation and control of what we're applying.
Yeah, beautiful. So sowing's about to commence for many of the growers on the eastern seaboard, but also across the middle and to the west in Western Australia. But for prep work having begun, what should growers be undertaking to ensure sprayers are looking in good form prior to spraying, getting out in the paddock?
Sure. So sprayer maintenance is probably the most important and often probably the most overlooked factor for contributing to proper application and machine longevity. So just as simple as a good wash down every time you're finishing it with your spray job. Most importantly, make sure you're flushing product out of the tank and the boom plumbing when you finish that job. Like anything, you keep it maintained. It's just going to help performance and longevity of that machine.
Yeah, I think when rocking up to spray out a paddock or something, there's nothing worse than getting out in the paddock and it's starting to block up. A few of those T-jets or something are actually blocked up and having to get out all the time and see if they're all right and clean them out. May as well do it at the start, eh?
Correct. Yeah, and it's like I said, it's probably the most overlooked thing. You think washing the machine once you're finished with it, and then flushing the booms and tanks out, but particularly with spraying, like you said, it's nothing worse than mixing a tank up, going out in the field, and you start off your spraying, and you've got blocked nozzles and or filters or strainers. Yeah, so just that good hygiene at the beginning of your job, and obviously at the end of each job, making sure you do that.
Certainly. And for those that have 3-point linkage, a tow behind, or even in a Patriot, what sort of maintenance do we need to upkeep on the Patriot versus the sort of small sprayers out there? What sort of difference are you seeing there?
Yeah, definitely following the service procedure. So daily greasing, checking the fluids, obviously, but most importantly, filters, chemical cab filters, making sure they're clean and replaced regularly to keep obviously that chemical out of the cab.
Beauty. And with the Patriots, I know it's probably a unique position because the owner operator is probably going to be running them all of the time rather than the seasonal casual sort of labor. They come in for planting and harvest season. I don't know, as a dealership, have you sort of seen that yourself?
It's we have either sort of the grower using the machine itself, or we have those contractors who are purely running the system around the clock, depending on weather conditions and weather events to get the best job they can.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's a different sort of thing with there where the owners of the farm are probably going to be running them or they're sort of stand-in man for that as well. But I was actually lucky enough to catch you at AgQuip last year. I was about to say this year, but it's last year now, 2022 AgQuip. And you're the product manager for AFS Connect, but also for Patriot Sprayer. And the Patriot's gone for this year, that demo model that you had at AgQuip, it's gone through a bit of a redesign. Do you just want to talk us through that? What's come in, what hasn't, and how's it shaping up for 2023?
Sure. So that new machine that we had on display at AgQuip last year, so it is roughly 80% of that machine has been redesigned. So chassis, suspension, cab, multifunction handles, guidance, application. As I said, the nozzle bodies and NCVs. So yeah, a lot of things being changed. Most importantly, it's got that new bold styling that CaseIH are bringing out into its machine. So Patriot was luckily the first to have that new bold, edgy styling that you see, that more sort of square bonnet looking, which we'll see to come out in many other machines in the future. But most importantly, the suspension. So the ride has always been a good ride in the Patriot, but it's even better in this new 50 series. It's very impressive once you get it in the field. I was fortunate enough to have the machine in the field and do some in-field spraying with it, and it was very impressive on ride, performance of guidance online, and just boom, ride height and control, and it was very, very impressive.
Absolutely. And at AgQuip for the 50 series, Patriot actually couldn't get in there because it was so busy, and I think it attracted a lot of people to come over and have a see with that 80% sort of revamp of how it sort of operates right across the sort of field, and also how the Patriot 50 series features AFX Connect. With your two roles, how is this special for those out there spraying and utilizing this technology? And what can we actually do? Well, I'll leave that for the second bit. Yeah, what's special about this technology and now it's in the Patriot 50 series?
So with the 50 series, because it's an AFS Connect machine, it's got our new Pro 1200 display running that new Vision Pro software. So it's got the same look and feel as the Pro 1200s in the AFS Connect Steiger, AFS Connect Magnum, and also the AFS Connect Optimum. It's also got our new Vector Pro receiver. So that's a totally new receiver that gives us great flexibility connecting to a lot of different third-party base stations. So whether that be Trimble, Topcon, Ag Leader, or Auto Farm, or so on. It definitely gives us capability to use that receiver on many different third-party base stations. We also have the introduction of the Raven Viper 4 display in the Patriot. So the Patriot is going to come with dual displays. So the Pro 1200 is going to be doing the machine functionality, so radio, air conditioner, lights, and so on. And the Viper 4 from Raven is going to be doing the application and guidance or precision farming side of the Patriot.
And that will be getting a lot more efficiency out of our sort of daily routine, especially out there spraying. We're trying to reduce our inputs and increase our efficiencies with what the chemical we are using and sort of creating that sustainability impact as well, reducing our chemical. Is that the sort of where it's going for the Patriot and the other machinery?
Definitely. And the main one in that is the looking at the AIM Command Flex 2. So it's a new higher flow nozzle control valve, so 70% higher flow rates. It's got that severe duty poppet upgrade, so and it's operations now working in that sort of operating in 10 to 20 hertz frequency for that control valve section.
Yeah, it's definitely a weapon out there. And also that second question I was going to throw to you before, but we'll get to it now. How is data working and what data can it provide with when it's connected to the AFX Connect? How does it work with the paddock overlays that you may already have?
Yeah, so because it's got the Raven display doing the application and the agronomic side of things, so it's going to be sending that to the Raven Slingshot portal. And what we also have is a API between the Raven Slingshot portal and our My Farm or the CaseIH portal. So it'll get that application data into either the Raven portal or also the AFS Connect portal, so My Farm tab.
Beautiful. And for the Patriot 50 series, what farmers are currently sort of switching over to them or buying them? Who's it more suited for out there within the farming community? Who's interested?
Yeah, it's been we've had a really good order take for this machine because it's the new machine and it's got all the new technology in it. Yeah, we've got anyone from large corporates to the single farmer doing their work, or it's the contractor. So it's not just limited to one user. Any user can use it, whether you're a corporate, small farmer, or large broadacre farmer,
Yeah,
or the contractor.
probably there's a larger scale. Those sort of larger scale family farms are borderline lining the sort of family corporate farms in the end of how they sort of work out and whatever way they structure themselves. So it's exciting to see this machinery come onto the paddock. And have you actually taken the first delivery for it? I believe at Agquip was speaking of March delivery.
Yeah, so not as yet. I we were in the factory a couple of weeks ago, and we did see a couple of machines that were marketed for Australia to start being built. So they are very close to getting our first system off the production line and on a vessel for its way to Australia.
Unreal. Well, when they reach the farmers here in Australia, I'm sure we'll try to get out and about. Hopefully there's one around the Central West that someone's coined onto. I'll have to speak to you after the show. But for yourself, Sean, running through the sprayers, everyone sort of thinks it's a sprayer and getting in it is the job done, but maybe it's a bit more than that. What would be your number one piece of farms advice that you'd like people to take away from this episode to improve their sort of spraying routine?
For sure. So sprayers have a lot of moving parts. So regular greasing and lubrication of those, but most importantly, look at the flow meter and spray tips. Make sure that they're calibrated properly and cleaned, because if we're doing a good job of that, we're going to be putting out the right amount of product.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I learned this morning in our own spray rig was calibration is key. So getting that down, packed, and making sure that's all right. That's a pretty good piece of farms advice there, Sean. So thanks for coming back on to the podcast, talking about a timely manner of spraying. And I think the talk of the town is it will be a pretty good crop if we can get the crop in. It's drying off a bit, so hopefully we can get a bit of rain come planting time.
For sure. I think after we've had so much wet conditions, we're looking for a little bit more now just to get that crop, like you said, planting in and get it out of the ground, and hopefully another very good season like we had last year.
Absolutely. A bit of a shock to the system, but we'll keep on farming throughout it. Sean, what are you most excited for in 2023 if we don't speak to you again in the next few months?
Yeah, definitely the 50 Series Patriots hitting the ground and getting feedback from customers, because when this machine was being built, it was focus groups, and Australian customers had a lot of insight into this, where the global product manager come over, sat down with them, went and visited certain dealerships and said, okay, what do you like about the sprayer? What don't you like about the sprayer? What do we need to keep? What do we need to put into it? And a lot of that has been answered. So, yeah, looking forward to getting feedback from customers, because, I think they'll, like when I first hopped in it and actually used it in the field, it was a very impressive machine. So
it's unreal about the focus group sort of point of it. A lot of people out there probably think that CaseIH and CNH just sort of determine what goes on there, but communicating and getting that sort of feedback loop from the farmers, that's a great way to get that product up in front and sort of make it appealing and also functional for us farmers.
Exactly. And it's not just on machinery. We also do it for our precision farming or AFS products, or the farm tab, the portal. At the end of the day, we need to make the product for the customer to use. And yes, we may not get it right straight away, but we do the best we can, and then we start to tweak it.
Amazing. Well, keep a lookout on socials, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook mostly, for the new 50 Series Patriot. I'm sure you'll be able to see it, even maybe on TikTok. We might put it up there as well. But Sean, thanks so much for coming on, and I'm glad we kept rolling that last bit to see what the focus groups do for us farmers.
Welcome. Great to be a part of it, and yeah, happy to come back anytime.
Sounds good. And if we're looking to have a further look at the 50 Series, where can we go search up and maybe inquire about a little bit more?
Yep. So you go to the our CaseIH webpage.
Yep.
For Australia. Also, like you said, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but most importantly, into your local dealership and talk to one of the your sales guys, and they'll be able to get you the information you need. There's a lot of good videos on the YouTube site, so whether that's the CaseIH North American YouTube site or CaseIH Australian YouTube site, but there's some good information there on operation and functionality of the new 50 Series Patriot.
Really, yeah, the steering wheel doesn't change size. It's always in the middle. Too easy, Sean. We'll leave you there. Thank you for coming on the show again.
No, it's much appreciated. Thank you.
This Farms Advice episode does not stop here. Come and join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. and even join our Facebook group. Go to farmsadvice.com.au for more on this episode and spread the hashtag farmsadvice to your mates. If you can leave a review on Apple or Spotify, that will let other farmers find us too. But until then, see you next Tuesday. In the spirit of reconciliation, the Farmers Advice podcast acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respect to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people today.